welcome back to my channel. Welcome to part 2 of my bedroom houseplant tour. We made it through only one shelf in part 1. I understand that part 2 is quite long, but there's a lot more to see and a lot more behind the camera action in part 2, so I really hope you guys enjoy this tour. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Okay guys, to start out, I realized that I forgot a plant from part 1. It's like the largest one on this bottom shelf. So I want to touch on this really quickly. I don't know how I forgot, but we do have a crispy spot here and there. You know, it's a Calathea from underwatering, honestly, because this is a really chill Calathea. This is my Calathea Fasciata. I've had her for a little while now. I got this from Plant Arena back when we lived in the apartment. And I do think that she needs up potted because you can see all of her new growth is quite small compared to a lot of her older leaves. I think it also goes by something else, but I can't think of the other name that it goes by, the other common name. But this is just a really beautiful Calathea. It looks kind of similar to the Orbifolia, but it has more color to the leaves, obviously, and then it also has this beautiful deep purple on the backside of the leaves. And again, there is some crisping going on, but that's just from me underwatering her. If I stay on top of her watering, I honestly get no crispy bits. It's a really joyful prayer plant to grow, a really beautiful plant at that, and yeah, I need to shine her leaves up, so maybe we'll do that in a future chore video. But I wanted to show her because I showed all of these tiny guys and completely forgot about this one. And isn't she beautiful? She's a favorite of mine for sure when it comes to Calathea prayer plants in general. I love this beauty. Welcome to part 2 of my bedroom plant tour. I am going to try this, you guys, behind the camera while the lighting is okay-ish. So let's just see how it goes. So now we're going to be focusing on this stand here. And I've already filmed this stand and the shelf in front of the camera. So anyways, we're going to start with this shelf because why not? Here on the very end, we have one of my babies. This is my Philodendron Pastaana, which I have grown from a teeny tiny little plant to this beautiful masterpiece. Granted, this plant does look a little bit ratted and tatted because of where it lives. It's kind of constantly getting ran into, and so some of the leaves are ripped up a bit. I still think it's beautiful. I'm obsessed with these giant pillowed heart-shaped leaves. I find them very beautiful. This was the newest leaf here, and we're currently working on another new leaf, but it's a little bit jacked up. I'm not sure what's going on there. A future task for a chore vlog. This plant is a creeper or a crawler, and as you can see, it's very much crawling out of the planter, so I need to get a long planter. I need to order one to put this guy in so that it can crawl accordingly, because this just ain't it. Even though I really like this planter that it's in, like it's very cute, it needs to come out of it, like the time is now. Setting aside that, we have a little bit of a sad situation. I am in desperate need of moss poles and moss, and I just have to say a huge thank you to my girl Sarah, because I've not been able to find any moss in person, and I can't afford to pay $40 every couple of weeks for a brick of moss on Amazon. So she's actually sending me a couple bricks of moss that she was able to find at her Lowe's. Thank Jesus, because we need to make some moss poles, and I also need to do a lot of propagating. So this is my philodendron compo, and it started out fine. It was doing well, growing nice, and then it ran out of moss pole, you guys. And you can see it just completely stopped putting out leaves. So we kind of have an issue. It's just shooting out aerial roots. Looking for something to grab a hold of. So as soon as I get my moss, we're going to be chopping this up. Let's move down here. So this is my Syngonium. I think it's the Angustatum variegated. And this guy was hanging in this really cute hanging ceramic planter. It was hanging up there, but I pulled it down because it has some roots coming out the bottom of the drainage holes. It desperately needs to be upped, and so that's kind of like the issue right now. You can see it's trying to trail as well. So I'm going to be giving this babe a repot really soon, and it's no longer going to fit in this cute little ceramic hanging planter. So that's why I pulled it down. It's just kind of chilling there for now. Okay, here's just a little jade plant that hasn't really found its place yet, so I just kind of have it chilling there. And then here, I'm going to try to pull this out because I know it's impossible to see right now. This is my Stromanth Trio Star, another really awesome prayer plant. For those of you that like the colors of the prayer plant as well as the praying nature, like the way that they go up and down and move, I think the Stromanth Trio Star is a great option. Mine doesn't actually have a ton of that white on it anymore. It used to, a ton of the variegation, and it could be a lighting issue. I don't know. I think it's getting plenty of light there though. Yeah, this is my Trio Star. It does wonderful. It just doesn't want to be underwatered like most all prayer plants, basically. If you keep up with the watering it regularly, and you also need to give it not tap water, like filtered water or distilled water, then it should do great for you and grow beautifully. It looks nice in this little white, simple ceramic planter as well. So yeah, that's my Trio Star. I guess I'll show you this because it's just kind of sitting here. This actually belongs in my grow tent, but I had pulled it out for, I don't even remember what now. I think I was treating it for spider mites actually. This is my Philodendron fibrosum. If you can see some of the hair there. It doesn't have a ton of hair yet, but I'm hopeful that with age and maturity, we'll get more of those furry petioles. But it's doing really well. This is its newest leaf right here. Also really needs a moss pole, but we'll get around to it, okay, I promise. Here's a little Graptopedilum. Again, it's just kind of chilling here. It's doing fine, I guess. We move up to this little top portion right here. We have my beautiful, beautiful Monstera Peru. This plant has seriously taken off for me, you guys. Like, seriously, it has so many new leaves, so many different active growth points. Like, honestly, it's just doing fantastic. Look at all of the growth points. I did put a trellis in here, but it's not really attached. I mean, I did attach a couple stems, but it could be better attached, I suppose, but I just think it's so beautiful. It looks so much better than the other one that I had that was just one strand, and it hated me, like literally hated me. We do have a little crystal down in the pot, so maybe that has something to do with how well it's doing. Who knows? How cute is this Monstera Peru in this really pretty little detailed pink planter with the heart trellis. I'm really enjoying this plant and watching it grow. Here's my beautiful Monstera Peru. Okay, I know it gets a little crowded here, okay, but we have a couple of my ficus that live here in this little middle shelf. So this is the Ficus Audrey. It has kind of like furry leaves. It's really, really cool. And though it does get spider mites a heck of a lot more than I would like, it's still doing relatively well. So it has a new growth point right there, and then it's actually pushing off what looks to be a new growth right there. So I believe that's potentially going to branch off, and maybe the plant will become a little bit more full and bushy, so that'll be exciting. Can't wait to see that if it does. Doing pretty well. I mean, I have no complaints really. Here in the middle we have a Monstera adansonii. This is the wide form. And she is thirsty, so I'm going to get her some water whenever we get done. But she's doing pretty well. She has some decent sized leaves on her as well. Growing pretty well. Several different little growth points here. This is another one that probably would appreciate like a trellis or something to grab a hold of. But for now, it's doing good, and I love it in this cover pot as well. I think it looks really nice. Classic houseplant right here. And right beside of that, we have another ficus. You can see she's kind of facing the sunlight. I turned her around, hopefully that helps, but this is Ficus Altissima. This is the variegated Altissima, and she's not furry like the regular all green Altissima, which is pretty interesting. But again, both of these are pretty prone to spider mites, it seems, but I just continue to treat them. I'm also going to go over why I am still getting spider mites as excessively as I have been in an upcoming video, so stay tuned for that. But you can see that the Audrey has lost some of her lower leaves, like a good bit of them. I'd probably need to try and notch this plant to get it to push out some new growth points, but I love it regardless. So yeah, this is just the variegated sister to the green Altissima. Like, look how gorgeous. It looks like the variegation was almost painted on the leaves. It's really, really pretty. This is her newest leaf. She just put this out a week or so ago maybe, so it hasn't even hardened. It's still pretty soft compared to the others. But yeah, she's a beauty, and honestly, the Altissimas have been a lot easier for me than I initially expected. Like, I just kind of went into growing them expecting them to be a little bit more on the finicky side. Honestly, like, they love to be watered, and I mean, they obviously don't appreciate these spider mites, but all in all, they're fairly easy plants, and they do appreciate a lot of light. So just kind of throwing that in there. There's the two sisters. So let's move on down to this little shelf here. This is my mini ginger that I got from Gabriella Plants a few weeks ago, so relatively new to my collection. And I've just kind of kept her setting right here kind of to see how she does. I don't think this plant needs to be in a grow tent or have super high humidity or anything. And honestly, you guys, it's put off several new leaves just in the few weeks that I've had it. Oh, there's two new leaves actually as we speak, right there and right there. So yeah, safe to say this plant has been doing really well. It, like I said, seems to be a really easy plant, and it was very inexpensive. That's why I threw it on, and just because I really liked the look of the foliage from the photos, and it's been a joy so far. So yeah, she just kind of lives right here. Okay, back here we have a Sansevieria, this plant, I'm telling you. So it's the blue silver, I believe it's a Kirkii variety, and you guys, it's basically a fake plant. It's never done anything in like the 2.5 years that I've had it. It does look like that's a new leaf coming in, but I'm pretty sure that's been there this whole time. It's never done a damn thing. I'm over it. I've tried to sell it. Like, I don't want this plant anymore. If you want it, like, literally comment below, just pay shipping, and I will send it to you. Seriously, because I'm over it. Also, please look over the cat hair. My cat gets up here in the window and lays also on these shelves and stuff, so we do have some cat hair that has accumulated back here. To the left we have, I believe this is a type of aloe vera. I think it's an aloe vera. Now, I've had this guy for a very long time. This is like an OG right here. When I got it, it was teeny tiny. I mean, you can see that's a lot of growth for a succulent, or I don't know. In my opinion, you normally see these types of aloes really, really small and compact. So I feel like it's a lot of growth. It seems like a lot of growth to me. Obviously, he's leaning to the side, but I really don't mind. We do have some new growth coming in, which is really nice. I love aloe plants. My very first ever house plant that I was successful at keeping alive was an aloe vera. It's like your standard aloe vera, but I've had him for a long time. I really, really love him. He's doing good. He's a spiky dude. Moving up, here is a kind of sad string of turtles. We're just gonna ignore that, okay? This little guy right here is my variegated Jade. Yeah, it's really cute. I really like this one. I love the variegation. I think it's so beautiful. And it's a pretty happy camper. It's got several new leaves coming in everywhere. It's happy, it's easy, it's chill. I love a good jade plant. So on the top here, we have one of my string of pearls. This is my largest string of pearls, and it's doing pretty good. I potted it, I think it was this past winter, and it's just been like kind of popping off ever since. I remember when I got this plant a couple years back, it wasn't even trelling. It was just kind of like in the pot in a hanging basket, but it wasn't actually trelling. It's gotten pretty long at this point. I would like to display this somewhere where I can really appreciate the pearls. But for now, it's really happy here. It gets really good light here, and it keeps the top of the pot quite full, so I'm happy with it. And I did rotate it because if you can see, the other side of the pot over there was getting a little bit bare, and yeah, so trying to fill out the other side. This side is quite full, you can see, and then the other side's just like kind of scraggly. So another thing I'm going to be doing as soon as I get the moss is chopping my silver sword. So I do have a baby that's its own little plant now off of this plant in my grow tent, and it's doing well. So I did chop it, but instead of putting out a new growth point, which what the heck is going on there, it just started growing from exactly where I cut it, which didn't do me a whole lot of good, right? So now it's grown off the moss pole and it's basically trelling. The leaves are still a good size. It's getting ready to push out another new leaf right there. And it's happy, so I mean, it's not a huge issue. I'm just currently limited on moss pulls and sphagnum moss to make more. So yeah, we'll be doing that really soon. Stay tuned, but love the silver sword. It's a beauty. And also, I don't want to show you too much in terms of planters, like my favorite planters, because I think I want to do a separate video on that. Haven't really decided yet, but spoiler alert, I love this one. And then we have my ruby necklace. This was from the Next Gardener, one of the plants that they had sent me, and I love it. This is, I think, now my favorite plant that they sent me out of all of them. Because like the purple, like purple is my favorite color, and I also love the string of plants. I just find it so beautiful and unique looking, and I think it looks nice in this cover pot as well. Cascading down, it's gorgeous, and it just has so much purple. I really can't get over it. This is my Boobie Cactus. I guess I need to pull her out again because you can't see very well, but I got this when we lived at the apartment. It's been doing well. I do think I'm under watering it because you can see all of this new growth is pretty slim compared to like the rest of the cactus, which is really like thick and fat and chunky. I do think I'm under watering it. Like, I don't know, I need to get on top of that. It's also growing kind of like at an angle, but I don't mind. I love this plant. This is hands down my favorite cactus or succulent in my collection, most definitely. And it's a really easygoing cactus as well, and quite fast growing also. I mean, in my experience, it grows relatively quick. You can see the brand new little boobies coming in at the top there. Aren't they so cute? Oh, she has a couple little mushrooms down in her pot also, just kind of chilling. I love her. Back here is another newbie. If you can't tell, I set some of my newbies on the stand because I just love them so much that I want to be able to see them every day. So this is, what are you? Okay, the common name for this is Homolumina purple sword for obvious reasons. One of them being the beautiful purple abaxial sides and then the sword-like leaf shape. I'm obsessed with this plant so far. I really, really like it. Now, I can't pronounce the botanical name, so I'm not going to try, okay? But obviously, I just think it is so gorgeous. Like, the silver on the foliage is incredible, mixed with that leaf shape and the purple abaxial sides and stems. Like, it is just truly a stunning houseplant, and I'm so happy that I decided to give this plant a shot because I didn't initially know what it was when I ordered it. I just thought it was really pretty, and then once I got it and did some research on it, I realized that it goes by Homolumina purple sword, which is a plant that I have been considering getting for a good while now. So it ended up working out for me. If you're looking for one of these, they were quite pricey online from what I had seen. Gabriella Plant sells these for a really, really affordable price, you guys. Anyways, yeah, it's just been living here on this little stand in that window, and it's been doing good. I believe this was the leaf that it put out for me. I think it was probably already coming in whenever I unboxed it, but it's doing great. And guys, oh, that's exciting. We actually have another new leaf coming in right here, like look. So I think it's safe to say that she's happy with me. I do notice this plant is quite thirsty, so I just have to keep up with her watering, and other than that, she's doing fantastic. So this was 100% a score in my eyes. I am obsessed. And she just looks so cute sitting there on her little shelf. Look at that beautiful new leaf, you guys. It's gorgeous. Here's my Philodendron Squamoufurum. I need to give him something to climb really, really soon because, I mean, honestly, it's doing a good job supporting itself, but it has two different stems in here and it's getting kind of top heavy. And I'm sure it would just be happier all the way around if I gave it something to climb, but the leaves are getting to be a decent size. I love this leaf shape so very much. And I also am a big fan of the hairy petioles, like we love that. Squammy. All right, now we are gonna move over to this area. Moving right along. We're moving over to this shelf, which is kind of in a corner, but believe it or not, if you can't tell, there's not nearly as many plants on this shelf as this one, so this one's not gonna take very long. And then we can get over on the shelf on the wall. The time is ticking, okay? We're running on some time right now. This is my painted lady. She was in my grow tent. I moved her out. If a plant is doing well and I don't really think it necessarily needs to stay in the tent, I'll kind of move it out and try it out for a little bit and see how it does. So anyway, Painted Lady, she is absolutely beautiful. The only thing is I don't think this is going to be enough light in here for her to really keep that beautiful pattern on her leaves. So if you give her low light, she'll still grow and probably do fine, but you're going to get a leaf that looks more like this, so more green. There's not really much to it. So the more light you give her, the more of this gorgeous yellowish variegation you're going to get. And it's definitely a mottled type variegation, but I just love it. I think it is so very pretty. It's really fun for me to experiment with this plant. It really varies. The variegation and the way that the leaf is going to look really varies. The lighting matters a lot. So anyways, she looks a little crazy right now. You can see this old leaf down here because she was a cutting. I have rotted this plant's roots over the years at least twice, but she's made a comeback, full recovery. She's doing great now. This was her newest leaf here, this really cute little guy. She does need a moss pole so she can kind of attach and mature her leaves, because her leaves used to be a really good size, much larger than these. And you can see here she is starting to unfurl a new leaf, and there's actually another one sticking out of the petiole there as well. So really good grower. This is a Hoya Azaragoensis. This is a large leaf Hoya, and it has some really subtle veination going on the leaves. But these leaves can get massive, you guys. I mean, they can get really big. It's supposed to be a cover plot. It does not have drainage, and even still, she dries out too much. So it's an ongoing thing in this house for sure. This is a really cool one. I love this one. This will forever be a favorite of mine. This is like one of my first Hoyas that I ever got. I did chop it and sell the base and the rest of the plant. I believe it was last year, and I took this cutting for myself. And it's grown, you know, quite a bit. This is a newer leaf right here. I have tons of room. I've been getting rid of plants that are dead, aren't coming back, that I just don't love that much, and I've made a ton of room for new plants. So not saying I'm going to do a ton of plant shopping, but when I do, I've got room, okay? So here is I believe this is a Sansevieria Cleopatra. It's just this cute little Sansevieria. I mean, it's doing fine, you know. I kind of went through a Sansevieria phase for a little bit, and then I discovered that like it's not really my thing. I like some of them. I like the ones that I have. I got my well fins now, so I'm pretty content with my Sansevieria. But it does have these really pretty markings on the leaves. Are they leaves? I don't even know. And it did shoot off this little pup right here. This is new. It's pretty to look at. Looks like a little star. I have a giant Bipedifolium, like massive, taller than me. It's in my grow tent. This is just a cutting off of that because I have to cut it back ever so often because it just gets way too big and I have nowhere to put it. So this is a cutting I took. It has constantly had spider mites. My mama plant does too, but so it doesn't look as good as it could. But yeah, I love pedadums, Bipedifoliums, Squamoufurum, Philodendron Florida, all of these leaf shapes I really like. It's the horsehead philodendron. We have one more on this shelf, and please look over her. This is a Hoya waiariai. This is one of my Hoya waiariai. Again, a very thirsty Hoya. Don't know what it is, but yeah, it's just really thirsty. I cannot keep up with her watering. She's actually dripping water off her pot because I did give her a good soaking earlier today. So I've watered her, but even when I water, her leaves really aren't recovering. They're not getting any better. So, you know, I mean, it still grows and stuff. Hopefully it'll be okay. My variegated waiariai is doing wonderful, but I have to stay on top of the watering or yeah, it's a no-go. Not much to see there. The only thing on this shelf right here is this big, massive Hoya Australis. This is my largest one, and it's doing fine. It grows really fast. This is probably my fastest growing Hoya, I would say. Just really thirsty, you know. She's thirsty, so she's got some wrinkly leaves, but she's doing fine. She's big, she's huge, and she takes up a lot of space. We have a couple more Hoya. Yeah, on the top shelf, we have my lovely Hoya Pubicalyx Splash. This was also kind of like an OG Hoya, like one of the first Hoyas that I brought into my collection. And I love this plant so much. I actually repotted and gave this plant a trellis in a chore video a couple months ago maybe. And yeah, it's doing fine, it's doing well. Like, look at some of these leaves, you guys. I mean, it has some of the most silver splashed leaves that I think that I've ever seen on a poop calyx. Like, look at this one. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Oh, and I want you guys to tell me down below if you own a Hoya Pubicalyx splash or if you've seen a lot of them in your lifetime. Have you ever seen one with this much splashing on it, or am I just biased? But I think it's such a statement piece. I feel like you don't see this much splashing that often when it comes to Hoyas, especially like more common, easy to get your hand on Hoyas. So I think it looks really nice in this pot. I think it looks awesome on this trellis, and I'm just waiting for blooms, baby. I'm just waiting for blooms. Just the one thing, I can keep Hoya happy. I can get them to grow pretty well, but I don't get blooms on my Hoya very often, so something I would really like to change. Another favorite of mine, oh, don't look at that. I'm sorry, buddy. This plant rarely ever loses leaves, so I did not expect to see a dead leaf in there. But it has been a good while since I pulled it down. This is Opie. Opie the Obovata, and love this plant. Again, had this one for a really long time. Always been a super rewarding, easygoing Hoya, which just blows my mind. They're super inexpensive as well. That's what blows my mind, because I just think they are so cool for a Hoya. Like, are they not cool? I feel like it has so many things that Hoya people love in that genus. I feel like it should be a lot more expensive. I mean, I'm glad it's not, okay? I'm glad it's super accessible, but it has these huge leaves, but not only that, they're round, which, how many Hoyas do you know that put off these perfectly circular leaves? Please tell me. Aside from this little one here, look, it's like a heart. It almost looks like a carry eye. I gotta order some more trellises and get this babe on a trellis. I know he needs it. I know he'll appreciate it, and he'll look nicer too. He needs a trellis, but he also has the beautiful splashing on his leaves. Just look at that. I feel like I really need to move this plant down somewhere where I can see it. You know, it's in a corner. So I think I'm going to do that after this video. I'm going to pull it down and set it like maybe on a shelf. The shelf, like I'll swap a plant out on the shelf in front of the window, perhaps. Maybe it'll grow better too, because it hasn't put off a new leaf in a little while. But it is a good grower, okay? It's grown so very much since I've had it. That is just gorgeous. Like, whew. Okay, this is exciting, and I just noticed this now. This is, I believe its common name is like African milk tree. And it is a type of euphorbia, and whenever I got it, it had all of the little leaves on it, on both of them, and it lost the leaves this winter, which I'm pretty sure is normal. Yeah, it lost all of its leaves, and it's just kind of been chilling ever since. So these are just so cool looking. I love the way this plant is shaped, and look at that, look at the coloration going through the plant. Like, isn't that so cool? So they do have little spikes going up and down, but as I said, these spikes will put off little euphorbia leaves. And this is really exciting because it had the leaves when I purchased it. I brought it home, it lost all of its leaves, and now for the first time it is growing. I don't know how well you can see that. It looks like pretty good though. The tip, especially right here, that light green color, that is brand new growth. That's a good amount of growth for a euphorbia or cactus succulent type plant. I think that's a good amount of growth, but not only that, it is putting out its very first set of brand new leaves for me, like since I've had it in my care. So that's a good sign. This one over here is also sprouting some really cute little leaves, and it has some new growth also. So yeah, I didn't think this plant really liked me that much whenever I first got it, like I said, because it did drop all of its leaves shortly after. But it looks like it was just waiting for summer, maybe, and since summers came, it has grown a lot and it's putting out leaves. So it really is the little things, you guys. Like, that makes me so overjoyed. Thank you. Thank you so much, buddy. Okay, now we're gonna move down to a lower shelf. So, this big monstera. I tried to scoot it over as much as I can, that in my tie, because they're just taking up so much space. Okay, I just got this guy. We're on this shelf down here now. This is my Philodendron Gigantum, another spider mite magnet, but honestly it really does not faze him. About the only thing that really happens to this guy when he has a bad infestation is the new leaves will come in kind of wrinkled up, but honestly, like, he handles it like a champ. So this Gigantium has grown quite fast for me, definitely becoming the giant that is in his name. This one has two different little plants, two separate plants in one pot, so it has two separate growth points. This is his newest beautiful leaf right here. Look how shiny and gorgeous that is. And there's actually another, okay, there's about 3 growth points in this pot because something is going on here. What in the world? There's like 2 new leaves right here. I know you guys can't see very well, that are coming in off of the side there. That's not off the base plant. But then there's another growth point right here. So this is a new leaf. This is a new leaf right here off of this little plantlet on this side, and this is the mother plant, the larger plant. That's a little pup that shot off, and this is the current new leaf. This is another one I feel like I should really be pulling out off this shelf and setting somewhere so it can have a moment to be admired, because where it's squished in on this shelf amongst all the other plants, you don't really get to see that much about it unless I really pull it out. But really beautiful. I love these large leaves. I love how shiny they are. It's a gorgeous philodendron, great one. Highly recommend this one. Here we have my Philodendron Culkins Gold, my little baby, and it's doing well. Again, this used to be my grow tent. I moved it out because I don't really think it needs to be in there. If we have any issues, I'll put it back. But it's already grown quite a lot. If you remember, whenever I hauled this little guy, it was pretty tiny, and it's put off several new leaves for me already, which makes me really happy. This one's really similar to the Painted Lady. The leaves are a little bit more narrow and elongated, and it doesn't have pink petioles and stems like the Painted Lady, but the variegation is very, very similar, which I love because I love the Painted Lady. Here's the newest leaf right here, and they're getting larger and larger with each new leaf, so that's exciting. And we do have another one coming in at the petiole right there, so can't wait to see that one. Here's a little begonia. I believe this is Begonia Fire Torch. If you're confused by that, I was too, but I bought this as a more mature plant, and it had the really super dark hunter green leaves with the deep red backsides, and the plant actually got knocked off and chopped up because when it fell off of a high shelf basically, and it got chopped up. And so I am trying to grow it back. They're all new leaves right here. It basically died back to a stump again, and it's regrowing yet again. Begonias are fabulous. They're so resilient though. But I can definitely tell you that the juvenile form of Begonia Fire Torch looks very much different than the mature form. Like, you would not even know it's the same plant if I didn't buy it and know what it was whenever I bought it and see what it looked like whenever I owned it as a mature version. So when it matures, these polka dots go away entirely. The leaf becomes really, really long, and yeah, it's deep hunter green on the front, deep red on the back. It's gorgeous. So hopefully we can get her straightened out. But yeah, this is a Hoya Chelsea, which I have struggled with. I haven't really struggled with it, but per se, but I haven't really gotten it to grow much, and I've had it for 2 years. This also came from a friend and a swap. This is a new leaf here on the end, and all of these are fairly new. It's finally started to grow a little bit. It's always just been one strand though. And if you look right here, I believe this was a new leaf, or this one maybe, but we have a new leaf coming in right here, that bright red one, if you can see that. And then it did actually finally put out a whole entirely new growth point, like a new vine on this side of the pot. So these are new leaves, newer leaves anyway, these 3 right here, because this is a brand new vine. So maybe if I can keep up with her watering, she will eventually finally turn into a full plant and have multiple vines. It's wanting to, it's like teasing me, it's like wanting to become a full plant and really take off, but it's just taking its time, you know, which is okay. That's fine with me. This is my little bird's nest Sansevieria. Again, I've had this for a really long time. It's grown a lot, believe it or not. And yeah, he's just funky, he's easy, he does his thing, and I'm noticing that there's actually a brand new pup that has came in over here. This was not here before. So whenever I bought this, it was just a little bit bigger than this pup that's in the pot. And yeah, I mean, I really like the way that it grows in. I like the way that the leaves come out. It almost, okay, almost reminds you of a bromeliad, the way that it grows and how it has like the little pit in the middle. Oh yeah, it's cute, it's fine, easy, we get along just fine. Moving down to the bottom shelf. Okay, this cute little guy is a Hoya Fiji, and it's doing really well. It is in moss. It's actually a moss soil mix, and it dries out way too fast. Trust and believe. But regardless, it doesn't seem to mind it as much as some of my other Hoyas, so it's doing okay. It's actually growing all on one side, so I really need to rotate this plant. But it's grown a lot as of lately, like this summer. It's really kick-started it into action, and it's just been giving me new leaf after new leaf. It's been doing super well, so most of these are new leaves. And then you can see here on this second little growth point that's come out that these are new leaves as well, especially that little tiny one there. Yeah, it's doing awesome. I love this Hoya because obviously the veining, like, it has some of the nicest veining on a Hoya that I have ever seen, like, in real life. Obviously not online, but in real life and what I've got to see face to face with my eyeballs, it has some really nice veination. It really catches your eye whenever you look at it, and I love the way that the leaves grow in little clusters, like super close together. It's a smaller leaf Hoya from my understanding. I don't think the leaves get super big on this. I could very well be wrong. But yeah, I think it's smaller leaf, which is totally fine with me. I said I love larger leaf Hoyas, but this is definitely an exception, and the Bella and the Lacunosa. But this one especially. This is one of my favorite Hoyas that I currently own, and yeah, I love it. This is my Philodendron 6986669. I can never remember the exact numbers. Anyways, this is him. Again, used to live in my grow tent. I moved him out just to kind of see how he'll do. He is currently on one of these little Yankee homemade moss poles that I made for him. This philodendron is incredible. Obviously, look at that leaf. It has a very unique, very cool leaf shape. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, or at least that's what I keep hearing. I don't know why it wouldn't be, but I understand. We all like different strokes for different folks. But to me, I think it is fantastic, especially for a philodendron, because it's just not something that you see in a lot of philodendron, except for the, what's it called? Jopii, or I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. The super duper expensive philodendron. This is pretty much going to be the closest thing that you're going to find in a relatively affordable price range anyway to that plant. So it's just super cool. It's super duper skinny up here at the lobes, and then it just comes out into a leaf. It almost looks like something came in and ate out half of the leaf up the top. I don't know, but it's cool. It's very cool. He's been kind of a slow grower for me, but I don't think that's typical for this plant. I think it's just been me, if I'm being honest. This was his newest leaf here, and he has a growth point right here. And he, like I said, he was living in the tent, but I mean, he really wasn't growing in there, and he's getting optimal living conditions there and a lot of light. So yeah, I'm like, he's growing too slow. Let me just pull him out, move him somewhere else, and see if he grows any faster, does any better. He's doing fine. Like I said, it's just been a slow grower. So anyways, we're in the 3-leaf club right now. Hopefully pretty soon we'll make it to the 4th. Almost done with this shelf now, believe it or not, guys. This is my Scindapsus tribii Moonlight, and it was in the tent. It was doing okay, but I noticed it was kind of putting out some funky, jacked up leaves. The leaves were fine, but you can see, what is that? I have no idea, and it's on several of them. So I was like, let me just try to move it out. Maybe it doesn't like all that humidity. I don't know. It's been living on that bottom shelf under that grow light for quite a while now, maybe a couple of months, and it's doing better under there. So like I said, it was doing fine, but it was just doing some weird stuff in the grow tent. So this was a new leaf it put out here, which is perfectly normal. Kind of small, but totally normal. And you can tell this is a brand new leaf that it's just unfurled here. So look how cute it is growing, so I'll take it. Believe it or not, you guys, I actually stuck a pink princess down there. It's an experiment, okay? I just know that it's going to have to go back in the tent because the pink princesses, they'll put off weird crippled looking leaves like these if they don't have enough humidity, and you don't keep them, not moist, but if they stay dry for too long, basically. And sometimes they do that anyway. I think I should probably put it back because it's pushing out a new leaf right now. This is probably not a great time to have it out of the tent, if I'm being honest, because it looks like it's going to be a decent sized leaf, right? Anyways, this is the pink princess my husband had picked up for me at that plant shop months ago. It's been several months ago, and it wasn't the best looking pink princess you've ever seen, but it did have some good pink on it. So this was the new leaf it gave me. Again, it's had spider mites. All my plants have. But so it's kind of jacked up. It's it's one of those weird burgundy leaves that pink princesses give you sometimes. Anyways, this last one before that was nice, but it wouldn't have got all crinkled up, but it had some nice variegation. And then it also has several little pups down in the pot, if you can see those. And they look to have some really nice variegation. Like, those are pretty. They look better than the mother plant almost. So, and look at this cute planter. Isn't that adorable? So yeah, we have a pink princess down there. I may or may not move it out, putting out a new leaf, but it's there for now. I have absolutely no idea what this plant is. I just thought it was super cool, and I noticed that it had like a Codex. Is that what it's called? Yeah, it grows out of a Codex. This thing right here, little bulb, isn't that cool? And it's all bumpy. It feels hella cool. And I just have it sitting down in this, my cute little llama planter, like hello. Yeah, this thing is cool. Like, let me pull it out. This is from Urban Jungle. I had never seen them before. It's been doing fine. It's been growing. Like, it's been growing. The only thing I've noticed, it doesn't like to dry out, but it's weird because whenever it needs watered, this Codex is like hard like a rock all the time. But whenever if it dries out too much and it needs water, not only will it faint, but the Codex will get soft, like mushy soft. It's very, very strange. But I just think it is so cool. And if you look, I just watered it yesterday and already it's solid as a rock again. But you can still see it's still a little bit droopy. But I think it's fine. These are new leaves that it's given me in my care. These are new leaves. Basically, all of the stems have new leaves. And now it's working on 2 more. Yeah, all of the top growth is new. It wasn't labeled. If somebody could ID this for me, I would greatly appreciate it because I don't even know where to start trying to figure out what it is, but it's cool. I like it. Let's go ahead and touch on this beauty. So I love this plant so much. Isn't she beautiful and lush and just gorgeous? Do you guys see? Okay, let me put you up. See how she's climbing the macrame? She is completely intertwined and wrapped multiple vines. There's so many vines wrapped around that on this little hanging plant table situation. This is actually a Diskidia, and I think this is just your standard Diskidia. I don't actually know what it's called. I do have the Diskidia ovata, which I love, the watermelon Diskidia. It's in my grow tent. It's a lot smaller, but I picked this up years ago and it wasn't doing that great when I picked it up. Like, it had several yellow crispy leaves and the soil was really disgusting, so I ended up repotting it back into the same planter because it didn't need upped with fresh soil, and hung it in a window and it just started thriving. And yeah, it's done excellent for me ever since. So I decided to put it here because I just think it is one of the coolest trelling plants that I have. It's also a trelling plant that is so full and lush, and there's just so much to it, but it doesn't take up a ton of space or length because the leaves are small. So yeah, this is my Diskidia. Again, can't remember the actual name, but it's very common, and I've never seen one of these in store since I picked this up. I got it because I thought it looked like a Hoya. Like, I knew it wasn't a Hoya. It was labeled Diskidia, but I got it because it reminded me of a Hoya, and it was cheap, and I was like, you know what, it might even have been on the clearance rack. I was like, you know what, if it dies, like, it's not very much money spent, you know, it's not really a loss. We'll try to save it, and here we are a few years later. It's doing fantastic, and I just adore it. I mean, I absolutely love it. I water it like once a month probably and fertilize it regularly, and it just continues to grow and grow and grow. And yeah, she's awesome. She is definitely one of my favorite trelling plants, hands down. This is a little shelf that we have installed here on the wall. I really like it. I think it's really cute. So right here, I really want to show you guys my mother plant Splendid. I have a couple different Splendids, okay? My mother plant is huge and beautiful. This is a cutting that I had taken off of her. It's doing pretty well. There's a new leaf up there, and it's currently pushing out another new leaf. So yeah, this is just a baby off of my Mama Splendid. Here we have my regular well-thinned Sansevieria. It is massive. I'm pretty proud of this plant. I didn't grow it to this size, okay? I bought it this big for 30 bucks, and I have no regrets. He's actually a little bit wrinkly. I think it's time for a water. And then we have a crystal in there as well. Beautiful amethyst. This is some type of funky orchid cactus. We have two orchid cacti up here. I just know that it's an orchid cactus, and yeah, you can see that there's a good bit of new growth coming up. Like, look at that. You see all the light green little babies. It's so cute. Look how precious. Oh my gosh, it is adorable. But I really like this. I'd never seen one before, and I seen it, and I brought it home, and it's been history ever since. I just think it's so cool how it is like curly. Like, it has like a head full of curly hair, and it's very cool. So if anyone can ID this, would appreciate it, definitely. This, again, I cannot remember what you are. I need to get this up potted because it's drying out too fast yet again. These type of cacti like to be watered a lot more than your standard cactus. So look at all that new growth. How crazy is that? This is not new. He's had this, but you can tell what's new. All of the skinny pieces, which look super weird, like it just looks like he has hands and fingers going everywhere. So yeah, this is the same plant, okay? It just, there's more, has new growth coming in all over. So I guess it's happy to see summer as well. And it loves living here under this grow light. So yeah, there's my two super funky orchid cacti that I love with all my heart. And that's it for this shelf. So now we're just going to take a look at these hanging plants up here, and then I'll show you these two monsters over here, and that'll conclude this part of the tour. Up here I have my Begonia maculata, and this is temporary. The pot doesn't fit down in this little hanging basket like at all, but when I try to pull it out it makes a total mess, so I'm not going to try to pull it out. But we do have some new growth coming in. We also have some crispy bits, so it is what it is. But for the most part, she is healthy, she is happy, she's doing fine. Here we have another one of my favorite little peperomias. This is a trailing peperomia. Again, I cannot remember the name. I am sorry, please forgive me. I do know the names of a lot of these that I'm telling you I can't remember. It's just almost, I haven't said the names of them in so long. I can't remember off the top of my head, but as you can see, I just have her in this really cute little boho plant hanger, and I think she looks super nice. I've also alternated several plants in and out of this hanger, but I've had her here for a few months and she's loving it. Like, and look how large some of these lower vines are getting. We have some new vines coming in right there. Yeah, like I love how these are getting to be a decent size. I love the red backs. Looks so crazy and wonky, but also really beautiful at the same time with all the different vines and colors. It's a thirsty little peperomia though. It's definitely a more thin leaf peperomia, so you already know how that goes. Last but not least, in the window hanging, we have this Philodendron superbum, or Bernard Pausii, I think is what it was reclassified to. So I just stuck this up here, honestly, you guys, to see how it does. Keep an eye on it because it had an insane spider mite infestation, like one of the worst that I've seen, honestly. It was very, very bad. But this, I believe, yes, this was his newest leaf right here. It's already hardened off at this point, and it hasn't started pushing out the new one from that growth point yet. But if it doesn't soon, then I'm going to move it back probably in my grow tent. But it's a beautiful plant. I love it so very much. And I like the look of it in a hanging basket. I think it looks pretty cool. Okay, we have two more plants and then we are done. And they're both monsteras. So let's start with this one, and she's thirsty, so I need to water her. Look at those leaves. Oh my gosh. This is my Monstera Thai constellation, which I have grown, you guys, from a tiny little baby. It didn't have any fenestrated leaves. I mean, the leaves were tiny whenever I got this as an import from, I believe, Thailand. And I think it's one of my first videos on my channel. I'm pretty sure it's still up, the unboxing from this. So yeah, this is my Thai constellation. She wasn't doing well a while back, because she was super root bound. She hadn't given me a new leaf in quite a long time, and so I decided to up pot her to this cute ceramic planter and move her in here, and we're basically just waiting for a new leaf at this point. So, but I need to get on watering her definitely, because she is thirsty. But yes, a beautiful Thai constellation. I'm very proud of this plant. Okay, and then over here in the corner we have my beast, my big green Monstera deliciosa. Oh, and we have a little palm stone that fell on the floor. Oops. And you can see we upped it recently to this giant planter, and after we did that, it gave me 2 new leaves. So it gave me this gorgeous beast right here, and then it also put out this one at the same exact time. Really, really large. This is a true Monstera deliciosa, like the true form, and you can tell by the ripples on the back of the petioles up where it meets the leaf. It does have the potential to get really large, and we love that. Even though we're working on limited space, we still love that. I have her in this huge pot on this little wicker type stand, and so far it's doing really, really well. I will say these leaves, because they're so large and like flat, they do get super, super dusty very often. Like I'm constantly having to mist her, spray her down, clean her leaves, do a little neem oil treatment, but it's beautiful. That's it for this little area.